welcome back to another episode of BET GPT. This is episode 22, aka the Taylor Swift special. I'm feeling 22. How about you, Slade?
No.
No comment. Okay. So we're here to break down some more NFL and college football this weekend, and then we also have the MLB divisional series kicking off Saturday as well. So super busy sports weekend. Would you consider October your favorite sports month of the year?
Yeah, I think so. It's the MLB postseason. The weather is still nice outside, which kind of matters to me a little bit. And then you also have hockey and basketball just starting up too.
Yeah, that's a good point about the weather. It's kind of nice after Iowa has like a horrible loss to like Northwestern or some random team. You can go take a walk, just get some fresh air.
It's
Whereas
not.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's not dark out at like 3 p.m.
Yeah, but then you get to the end of November, Iowa loses to Nebraska. It's cold. You're stuck in the house. You have to tell your second cousin at Thanksgiving why they lost. It's just not good. Is your connection out?
You've paused for me for like 30 seconds, and I just said fuck.
All right. Well, we'll just continue to keep going. It's no big deal. All right. So as long as you can still hear me, do you want to kick it off with your six-pack plays?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you tell us where we're at so far? How are we doing?
God, I think we're up 5.64 units. Do you know when these MLB awards hit cash? Do they do that like in November, or do they do that during the postseason run? Because that number is going to go up quite a bit here soon, right?
Yeah, it's not until after the season, unfortunately. So we're stuck waiting until the end of November to cash in those extra 2 units. So really, we're pushing close to 8. We're going to be like 7.94. That's what we're kind of at right now, unofficially.
Okay, so there we go. 6-pack plays. I've got 2 college football, and I'm going with 1 baseball just to mix it up a little bit. My first one, I'm gonna go with Ohio State minus 19.5.
Ohio State.
Yes, the Ohio State, and it's at the Shoe. It's a home game for Ohio State. They had a bye week last week, so an early bye. You're getting them with an extra week of prep. They're playing Maryland, who is 5-0. Maryland is known for starting strong to the year and then finishing just terrible. So I think in a way, playing a 5-0 team might be used as something to like get the boys ready a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like they might actually get up for that game. It is a big number. I just think Maryland's defense hasn't been tested yet so far. And I think the Buckeyes probably feel pretty good about themselves. Have had 2 weeks since that big Notre Dame win. So I'm taking Ohio State minus 19.5. I'd shop this. I've seen minus 20. I got it at 19.5, but that was yesterday. So if you have to go with 20, it is what it is, or maybe you buy the point. Number 2. So this one is tomorrow night, actually. Illinois, Nebraska. It's under 43.5. That's my play. That's minus 110 odds. Couple of reasons. One, Nebraska has not really been an competent offense all year. I took Nebraska under 10.5 last week versus Michigan, and that hit. It wasn't even close. They really were never even a threat to score against Michigan. Obviously, Illinois is not Michigan, but still, I don't see Nebraska scoring 20 plus in this game. Illinois. So if you want to look at it from like a contrarian view, I guess Illinois has been throwing the ball a lot more this year than they have in previous years under Brett Bielema or any year in Brett Bielema's career. But I think one thing that'll go in our favor is Brett Bielema during his press conference this week said that he's frustrated with the offense's lack of identity. They only run the ball 44% of the time. I think we see a boost in that number. Brett Bielema likes to run the ball. I don't for whatever reason, he just hasn't really done that this year. I think maybe losing their star running back, some other things have kind of deterred them from that style of play. But I think we might get back to seeing that because they know they don't need to light it up or anything to beat Nebraska. So I expect a slow pace. And if I had to pick a team to win, I'll take Illinois, but I'm playing the under 43.5. And that's a Friday night game, I think, on like BTN. So
Gotta love the Big Ten on Friday nights.
exactly. And then you want to get into a little bit of baseball. I don't know if you'll agree with me here or not. I'm taking a plus money pick for a series. I'm taking the Rangers over the Orioles. Um, I mean, I think I said last pod that I'm out on the Orioles in terms of a World Series, so they have to lose sometime. Why not now? The Rangers just beat a 99 win Rays team in 2 games back to back. They outscored them 11-1 in that series.
Yeah,
You know,
Eovaldi looked really good
I
yesterday.
was gonna say neither team really has great starting pitching right now because Max Scherzer is on the IL, John Gray is on the IL for for the Rangers, but Eovaldi might be the starter in this series that I trust the most. He obviously has the World Series run with the Red Sox in 2018. He has like a 3.6 ERA this year, and he just shoved in the NL or ALD or AL wild card matchup. One thing also in the Rangers, um, one thing that's helping the Rangers case is because they swept the Rays in 2 games, they get that extra off day. So I'm not saying you'll see Eovaldi in game 1 or 2, but you might get him a little bit earlier in the series than you would have otherwise. You can kind of reset your pitching a
Yeah,
little better.
I just read an article that said because of the extra off day, they can make it through the 5-game series with just 3 starters. So they don't
Yep.
need a fourth. Their fourth would be Andrew Heaney, who's pretty hit or miss, and I know they want to try to avoid that. Scherzer is he pitched a bullpen session yesterday, and he wants to try to get back. I don't know how realistic that is if they make the ALCS, but if they make it to the World Series, that'd be a huge boost to get him
Yeah, I
for a
think you
game
can
or
make
two.
a case the Rangers are almost better positioned deeper in the playoffs because they would have a chance to get Max Scherzer or John Gray back. Scherzer hasn't pitched since like September 12th. Yeah, this is Rangers over Orioles series is plus 110. Um, I think I think out of all of the matchups, this is like the most likely matchup where an underdog could actually like pull it off. The Orioles are really young, and especially in their starting pitching. I'm okay with young position players, but young starting pitching bothers me a little bit. And then obviously you lose your closer on the back end. Um, so I don't know. I think the Rangers have the best starter probably in Eovaldi right now, and then or at least the hottest, and then they also have the best player in Corey Seager. So the Rangers have also here's a little fun fact: the Rangers have hit 50 more home runs this year than the Orioles. So that matters in the
Yeah, that's quite the
postseason.
disparity. I love Corey Seager. He's just such a solid player, and like even when he's playing shortstop, he just looks so like I never worry about him having an error or anything. He's just like very calm out there. Um, but yeah, his old Dodgers hitting coach is over at the Rangers, so that's part of the reason why he signed with them to begin with a couple of years ago. So he's hitting really well. He's probably going to finish second or third in AL MVP voting, but just no
Mm-hmm.
one cares because Otani ran away with it. But if Otani doesn't exist, that's your AL MVP. I want to piggyback off that. I before the postseason started, I got the exact matchup for the World Series. I put 2 bets down. One of them was Atlanta Braves against the Rangers, and the other was LA Dodgers against the Rangers. So I am pretty bought in on the Rangers, but obviously they got to get through this series. We want to just quickly go through the other series real quick. Do you like
I was gonna say the
rapid
Dodgers pick.
fire
Let's say the Dodgers pick looks pretty good right now because the way the playoffs are set up, they're facing the
D backs?
Diamondbacks, so they're like the biggest favorite in this round. And then you can kind of get the Phillies and the Braves to beat up on each other. That series could go the distance. Um, and one of those 2 teams is going to go home. So, I mean, maybe if you're them, you're probably rooting for the Phillies, but I don't know. I mean, you have like a 50-50 shot at this point because you're going to win this round, or maybe you have a 40%, but like you're probably going to win this round and then it's going to be close with the Braves or the Phillies. So it's just a toss up.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, so just my predictions, I guess. I'm taking the Rangers over the Orioles. I'm gonna go with the Twins over the Astros. I think the Astros are their pitching isn't as good as it used to be. I know they got Verlander back and he's kind of found a genie in the bottle and looked good the last couple starts, but I don't know. I don't see it happening still. I'm gonna go with the Braves in 5 against the Phillies. I think Strider shuts them down at least one game. And then I'm going to go with the Dodgers to win pretty convincingly.
At first, I was like kind of offended when you said Braves in 5, and then I realized this is a 5-game series. Because at first I
Yeah.
was like, you think they're going to win the series 4-1? But yeah, I agree. I think the Braves do sneak it out. I do have a parlay with a couple of my matchups, and I have the Phillies in there just for the odds boost. Um, I mean, I'll be transparent. I want to see the Phillies come out of the NL. I think so. I'm being a little biased when I play that, but I mean, my ideal matchup would probably be the Phillies against. I don't really care who comes out of the AL anymore, though.
Yeah.
I don't hate the Astros anymore. Do you have a problem with them?
Yeah, I still kind of a sour taste in my mouth. I really never liked them to begin with. I don't know. I'd rather have a team who hasn't been to the World Series in a while make it. I've seen the Astros too much.
I don't know why, but the other day I was thinking, I was like, I don't want the Twins to make. I don't want to think about the Twins winning a World Series. Just like I don't. That just sounds like it's one of those things that sounds cool when you say it, but then when like the games are playing, I don't really care. Like I'm
Their
not
their
gonna
their
get me
fans are
invested in that.
their fans are electric though. That stadium was bumping, man.
I don't care. I don't want to watch it.
Okay. Well, I didn't watch the Astros Phillies last year because I didn't care about that, and I'm afraid that's going to happen again this year.
There's no superstars on the Twins unless you love Carlos Correa or something.
Well,
Like
you did this off season.
I did until I found out about his knee problems. Yeah.
Yeah.
Knee problems are becoming a theme of my sports fandom. So glad I
Yeah.
dodged that one.
Yeah, it'd be a real shame if Justin Fields tore. I'm just not even gonna say it. I was gonna say AC.
Yeah, let's not don't talk about our trade value like that.
All right, let's get back into the six pack. That was a good baseball break. Um, all three of mine are in the NFL, so we can just do our usual game by game here, and we'll start with those three. First one, let's start off with Sunday Night Football. I have absolutely no statistical analysis on this. This is just strictly my gut. This is the Brock Purdy blow up game that I've been mentioning. He's plus 130 to throw an interception in this game. Uh, we're taking that over 0.5 interceptions plus 130. Okay. He's throwing an
Yep.
interception. It's going to be a close game. He's going to be pressured. If he doesn't throw an interception, he's going to have 3 of them that are going to go through someone's hands and we'll be like, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't want to be a hater. I just feel like he has so many near interceptions
I
that
know.
it's just like it's kind of like at some point it's got to catch up to him eventually. I'm actually on the Cowboys to cover the 3.5. I just like that number a lot. If it was 2.5, I would have stayed away. I like 3.5. That's just a nice number to be on.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the Niners end up winning by a field goal or something. I think the Niners are going to pull it out, but it's not going to be smooth sailing. It's going to be tough. The Cowboys just got to give the ball to CeeDee Lamb, quit screwing around in the red zone. Like they do so well from 20 to 20 and then like Mike McCarthy like picks up a whole new playbook. It's like, "Let's try this." And then they stall
Yeah.
out and have to kick a field goal. So, yeah, I would lean Cowboys here as well, but we're taking the Brock Purdy over 0.5
This
interceptions.
is off topic, but who's the Cowboys OC? Is it Kellen Moore or
No,
did he
he's
leave?
gone. No, their new OC is Brian Schottenheimer. Kellen
And
Moore is with the LA Chargers.
okay. I see him getting a lot of head coaching love, Kellen Moore. I just wasn't sure. I didn't think he was with them anymore, but I wasn't sure. He's been kind of in that conversation for a couple of years.
Well, it's weird because he's in that conversation, but he also got fired from the
Yeah,
Cowboys. Like
that's also
it's
weird.
weird. Yeah. But okay, next up, my next play is I'm taking the Eagles minus 4.5 against the Rams. We got Cooper Cup coming back for the Rams. That's obviously big. Sean McVay. earlier today at practice said that Cooper Kupp looked healthy. Take that for what you will. Matt Stafford, though, is a little beat up. He has like a hip pointer, some hip bruise. I think that's going to slow him down a little bit. I just think that the Eagles' offensive line is just going to run all day against the Rams, and I don't think the Rams necessarily get a lot of possessions. I think it's going to be a pretty quick game. The clock's going to be running the whole game, and the Eagles haven't looked great this year. I think they know that. They're kind of hearing the outside noise, and if they're going to make a statement, I think this would be a good way to have it. So you're at the Rams. I don't know. I mean, the Rams have more home field advantage than the Chargers, but it's still not home field. Like going into SoFi is a piece of cake for these teams. So I'm taking the Eagles laying the 4.5.
Really, no. I really am kind of indifferent on this one. These are two teams that I've kind of stayed away from betting on. The Rams have been kind of better than I think we thought, and the Eagles have been a little worse than we thought, but they're still winning, so it's kind of weird. No strong feelings either way.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. And then my last 6-pack play, I'm taking the Chiefs -3.5 in Minnesota against the Vikings. Full disclosure, I think this is the squarest bet on the card this weekend, but the squares win sometimes, so we're following them. The Vikings were the luckiest team in all of 2022. They're the worst team in NFL history with a 13-4 record or whatever they were last year, and it shows because they're 0. Are they 0-4 right now or 1-3?
The Vikings, they
Yeah,
won. They won
they
last
won.
week.
Oh, okay, they're 1-3. So obviously it's a must-win for the Vikings, but I don't know. I don't see it. I think there's going to be a lot of points, but I think Mahomes he's going to be in a dome. There's going to be perfect weather. You know, Mahomes in the Super Bowl in the dome always does well. Whatever. It's going to be fine. Even though last episode I said the Chiefs aren't good anymore and they're the 6th best team, they're good enough to cover the 3.5.
You might be more confident than me. I still think I'm not going to bet against the Chiefs. I just kind of stayed away. The line does feel a little fishy to me. I don't know. I always think that playing at Minnesota is hard, and I fell into that trap by taking them week 1 in Survivor to kind of do something different, and I lost. So maybe I overvalue US Bank Stadium, but yeah, I don't know. I still think the Chiefs win. I think the Chiefs are going to win every week. I don't think I've ever gone into a week thinking the Chiefs are going to lose.
You are a Chiefs lover and a Kirk Cousins hater, and you're not feeling confident
Well,
enough
no,
to say.
I liked Kirk Cousins coming into the year because of the quarterback documentary, but then he sucked for like the first 3 games, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I don't think he's very good.
Speaking of our quarterback documentary, we still need to get Olivia Davis on to give her review. I talked to her a couple nights ago. She said that she's only available on the weekends, so we're gonna have to record it and then stitch it into this. So I don't know why that's the case, but we'll get that figured out with her. Next up, let's start with the game that's going on right now. Just real quick, rapid fire. What's your prediction for the Bears Commanders game? He's wearing his Bears shirt. Hey, I also want to say I do appreciate you recording during the game. I know that's tough missing a little bit of it, but I appreciate
Is
it.
it on right now?
Yeah, it is on right now.
Oh, that's
Five
right. I guess
o'clock.
I need
Yeah.
to. Yeah, I need to turn my TV on. I guess no distractions. This is my job. So, I think I'm actually afraid the Bears are going to win. I don't want to win. I don't want to. I promise. I think we're going to. I don't want to though. So any of our Commanders fans listening, Keel, any of you guys, I don't want to win. You guys can have it. Take the win and we can all go on our merry way. I think the over is going to hit. That's the only thing I played. I think it's like 42-43. I think that's going to hit because the Bears defense stops absolutely no one. The Commanders actually put up points. They did it last week on the Eagles, and the Bears average on offense average around 20 points a week. So they aren't. I mean, I think the lowest, other than the Chiefs game, I think they've scored right around 20 every game.
So you're predicting a Bears W. That's what I gathered from that.
I'm predicting the over, and I'm worried the Bears are going to win.
Okay. All right. So it should be a pretty competitive game. Last year it was 12-7. It can't be any worse than that. That was a Thursday night game too.
That was the game when there was 2 back-to-back pass interferences on prime time, and they didn't call it, and Twitter went nuts.
Good times. Good times. The over, I kind of like the over here too because the Bears have had their Bears offense has allowed, if that's even the correct terminology, has allowed defensive touchdowns in 3 straight games. So pick sixes against the Packers and the Buccaneers, and then a fumble, scoop and score against the Broncos. So just the snap of your fingers, Justin Fields could turn it over, and 7 points could be on the board. So I like the over there too. Eberflus is -200 to be fired. Do you think he could get fired tomorrow?
I think he could get. I think he's gonna get fired. It's just everything I read is like, okay, you fire him, who takes over? Because, like I said, Luke Getzey is just as hated, just as considered just as shitty of a coach. So are you gonna have him be your new
Yeah.
head coach? It just
Well,
doesn't really.
just do what the Browns did. They hired Freddie Kitchens, who was like their offensive line coach, and then he ended up being the head coach, and you waste a year and a half doing that.
I was gonna say also, if you're trying to tank, why would you want to get rid of Eberflus? He finds a
True.
way to lose every single game at the worst time, doing just stupid football.
I thought
Maybe
Eberflus
he's
was a
yeah.
good coach too. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. I actually thought he was decent last year. They always played hard. They there was it was like a distraction-free season for the most part, outside of like Claypool, but he was kind of banged up, so it didn't really matter. They were just bad, and everyone was like, "Oh, they play hard. They play together. You know, they bought in, whatever." But yeah, I guess he sucks.
All right. Next up, Jags at Bills, going across the pond again in London. The Jags have a little bit of advantage because they played their last week, so they're playing back-to-back weeks in London. Trevor Lawrence said he was excited to do some sightseeing, have some fish and chips and whatnot. Do you think that the extra week being over there helps the Jaguars, or do you not think it matters that much?
I don't know. I don't see it as an advantage, really. I feel like if I were on that team, I'd be like, "Can we go home now? Like, I'm sick of being over here." Like, I would be so antsy to get back. I'd be like, "Okay, this was cool, but I want to go home." I just feel like all those games end up being really bad, like bad quality, like just ugly games, low scoring games. There's rarely like that game where it's like 2 offenses show up and put on a good show for the fans. I'm always like, I feel bad for these fans. Like last week, you had the Falcons in there. I don't know. At least you have a decent team in there, but it's like, I just feel like something about that travel and the whole itinerary and the distractions, it just leads to a poor product.
Yeah, I agree. Most of the overseas games are not great, but can you even believe that the Dolphins Chiefs is in Germany? They're getting like one of the best games of the year.
Oh, that'll be the one game I take the Chiefs to lose. Mahomes is going to be too busy hanging out with Brittany, doing sightseeing and drinking beer.
1 month from now, I'm gonna have my on November 5th. I'm gonna have my alarm set for 6:30 a.m. to be watching that game. Can't wait. Okay. Yeah, but real quick, I am leaning the Bills here. They are 5-point favorites. They have Von Miller coming back, which is good. Josh Allen's probably, I don't know, one of the hottest players in the NFL. In terms of his statistics, he's also a good-looking individual, but I meant statistics. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'd lean the Bills here, but like you said, it gets a little funky overseas. I try my
Yep.
best just not to bet the London games.
Same.
Another weird game, Texans at Falcons. So Texans are kind of on the come up. Um, they didn't have high expectations coming into this year, or really after week 1. Then CJ Stroud has looked good. Kind of the opposite for Atlanta. People were high on them. Then Desmond Ritter hasn't been good. However, he's at home now. He's not on the road. So that
Mhm.
could help a little bit. CJ Stroud is still a rookie at the end of the day going on the road. So the cards are definitely stacked in favor of the Falcons. They have no excuse not to really win this game. I know you're actually betting the Falcons. Do you think they're going to cover, what is it, -2, -one and a
It's
half?
yeah, say it's down to 1.5. I just think people look. I like what CJ Stroud has done this year. I think I defended him after week one when he didn't look the best. I just I think people overreact and the market overreacts, and that this might be a chance to get some value. If you told us 14 days ago that you could get the Falcons 1.5 over the Texans, we would have jumped at that. I know things change a little bit. Obviously, we know more now, but I just think that when we look back at the season, I would be more surprised uh, to see the Falcons below the Texans. I mean, the Falcons beat the Packers at home, what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? So, like, I think they could handle the Texans. I'm not saying that they'll win or they'll cover. I just think that that's a good value play at 1.5. I mean, it's basically money line at that point, unless you're going to win by one, which happens so infrequently.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. That's a big stay away game for me. I can see it going either way. It's probably really dependent on the QBs or if Bijan can like make a couple huge plays. They got to help Ritter out somehow. Make some easy throws, scheme up some screens, some bubble screens. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't see it with Ritter. I think they're definitely drafting a quarterback this year, but they're going to be stuck in the teens picking probably.
Yep.
All right. Next up, Panthers. Your hometown Panthers, 10-point underdogs at the Lions. Got anything here?
I have the Lions winning the division. I think the God, 10 points is a lot though. The Lions have kind of I don't know, man. I just think the 10 points is a lot. The Panthers have played some close games. They've lost a lot of close games, but like they were beating the Vikings or in that game with the Vikings. Yeah, they were beating the Vikings for most of last weekend. Um, I don't know. I'm staying away from it. I'll be watching it, but I'm staying away from it. I just kind of want to enjoy this one because last week got too stressful for me betting on the Vikings against them and then also needing them to lose. It was like double the intensity.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't. That 10 points is a lot. I did take the Lions in my survivor pool this week. So I think they're going to win. I still think Bryce Young is not ready to be an NFL player. He's got to figure some things out. I have an unofficial BET GPT stat listed here. It says Bryce Young is the smallest QB in NFL history. I'm not sure if that's true, but it's close.
Probably pretty
Um,
close. Is that game in Detroit?
yeah,
Okay.
all three of Bryce Young's starts have been unders, so you could look to play the under in that game as well. They did go over in that game. Andy Dalton started. Um, Another thing to look at here would maybe be the second half under. It's probably going to be in like the 20 to 22 range. If it's up at 22, I'll probably be looking at that live or the halftime lines to take the under. I think that because the Panthers' run defense is so poor that the Lions will get up by like two scores and then they'll just try to run out the clock, give it to Gibbs and Montgomery and try to get out of there with a win.
The Panthers aren't really capable of big plays. It takes them methodical, long drives, like double digit play drives to get points.
Speaking of the double digit drive game, let's skip ahead to New Orleans at New England. Are either of
Oh,
these teams going to score? Derek Carr's arm is like out of its socket, and Mac Jones might as well have a dislocated shoulder too. It's neither of these teams can do anything. Poor Chris Olave is just like standing out there saying, "Give me the ball," and Carr can't do it.
dude, I have a fantasy matchup or my defenses, my two options for defenses this week in fantasy. I have the Saints against the Patriots and the Dolphins against the Giants. And as we know, the
Mm,
Giants just put on the worst offensive performance I've ever seen on Monday Night Football. So I think I'm going to go with the Dolphins, even though I think the Saints defense is better. Um, I don't know. I just don't think we'd be doing the fans justice if I didn't make a statement about my fantasy loss and how corrupt that Monday Night Football game was. That was so stupid.
Yeah, so Slade went down because the Seahawks D scored like 30 and a half. They had 11 sacks, a pick six, a couple other forced turnovers.
Yep. Gino got hurt, left for a little bit, and then when he came back, the game was such a blowout. They didn't do anything. It was like the perfect
Yes.
storm of horrible. And then at the end, Kenneth Walker got tripped up on a touchdown that would have given me the win.
Yeah, so I apologize for telling you to pick to start Lamar or Gino over Lamar. Don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Gino's dead to me.
Add him on the graphic. Him
Yep.
and our other teams. All right, here's a game that I specifically didn't write any notes on because I know Slade hates when I break down AFC South games, apparently. So Titans at Colts. I'm not betting this, just out of respect to you. I have nothing here. But if I did,
I don't hate when you break down AFC South games. I just know that you hate the Titans from a I feel like every episode you're shitting on the Titans or tell me Derrick Henry's washed, and then they ended up like basically outside of like one week. I feel like they've overperformed every other week, and you know that me and Ash have that over 7.5 wins. So you're
it's
like
true.
actively rooting against us.
No, I'm not. I'm not. They were playing the Browns one week. Of course, I'm going to root against them then. I do like their over this week. It's only 42 and a half for that game. As long as Anthony Richardson doesn't start super slow like he did last week, I don't see how both teams don't score over 20 in that game.
I'm staying away from that one. I don't trust either team, but I also fear both teams slightly. So there's like a respect and a dislike of both rosters.
Okay. Next up, Giants at Dolphins. You touched on this a little bit ago. Giants are a train wreck. They are blitzing at some of the highest percentages in the league, and they're still getting no pressure on the quarterback. So they're like basically putting their cornerbacks out on an island for no reason, and they just have a bunch of below average cornerbacks. That's not going to get the job done against Waddle and Tyreek Hill. So good luck with that.
Yeah, I can't imagine their offensive line plays as bad as Monday night, but
Well, they did the tush push play, and they lost John Michael Schmitz, their center. They also lost Daniel Bellinger, their tight end, on the same play, and another offensive lineman got hurt. So that's probably why they're 11.5 point underdogs. That's a lot, though.
yeah, stay away from that. I could see the Dolphins treating them like a joke, but also the Dolphins are going to win. This is a bye for them.
How would you feel about a secret pod play that we could potentially have? It's undocumented. You have to listen to us to know. But if we did a 10-point teaser where we tease the lines down to pick them and the Dolphins down to minus one and a
I
half.
was just gonna say, let's. What would those be if you money line parlayed them? It probably would still be like plus or minus 300. But
Oh, we
I
can't do.
mean,
We get
no.
if we make it a 3-team 10-point teaser. It's minus 140. I'd much rather do that. We need
Okay.
to come up with the third leg there by the end of this.
Is it possible for the Chiefs to lose by 7.5, more than a touchdown?
No, no, that's it. That's the play right there. That's the play. So it's Chiefs plus 7, right? No, it's
Oh
plus. It's
shit!
only
Yeah, they're
plus
three and a
6.
half. So I don't like that as much.
Yeah. What about okay? Well, we'll think about it. We'll think about it. We'll come back to that. So we have two of the legs. We have the Lions, and then we have the Dolphins down. But okay. Wait. Did you give your prediction on the Saints Patriots? Just who do you think wins?
I bet on the Pats. I took the
Okay.
Pats at a pick'em, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here. I also took the Packers at +1.
Ooh, Monday
Um,
Night Football.
Monday Night Football. The Packers are underdogs against the Raiders.
Guess
I
what?
don't.
The lines moved to Packers -1. People are
Okay.
betting Jordan Love.
Well, yeah, nice. You're betting how the Raiders are favored against anybody is again besides like the Bears or the Broncos is kind of insane to me. Like seriously, I know it's at Las Vegas, but just they are so bad. And I'm guessing AOC is still QB, right?
No, Jimmy G's back.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a little more respectable. It's still bad, but it's a little more respectable.
Yeah, it's I I'm definitely going with the Packers here. I know it's on the road. Jordan Love has been pretty hit or miss this year. But yeah, the Raiders, if they literally like on their defense, they only have Max Crosby, who's a great player, but if Max Crosby isn't pressuring the quarterback, no one's pressuring the quarterback. So just like double, triple team him, chip him, whatever you have to do. That's how you beat the Raiders.
Hmm.
Josh McDaniels also has no idea what he's
Yeah,
doing
say they also have
situationally.
they maybe have the worst coach in the NFL. His roster just isn't as bad as the Bears. I would not want Josh McDaniels as my team's coach. I think that guy's
Dude,
a moron.
I miss the simpler days when Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels and Matt Patricia were just dominating the NFL, but it turns out it might just have been because of Tom Brady.
Yeah,
Just a thought.
all of those assistants are just like dog shit.
Joe Judge doing the special teams.
Yeah, like dude, that whole staff, they all got new jobs and they all sucked.
Yeah,
It's like when Adam Gase got all these jobs. He had like what two different NFL head coaching jobs because he was Tom Brady or Peyton Manning's OC, and it's like, oh, maybe he just had the best quarterback, or Matt Nagy even with the Chiefs. Like maybe he just had the best player.
yeah, that's fair. But you don't know until you try.
That's fair. That's fair
Everyone
too.
wants to try. All right. Next up, the no love loss game: Ravens at Steelers. Steelers 4 point underdogs at home. Kenny Pickett is apparently going to play. I think 4 points is a lot at home. I don't think the Steelers are good, but it's a divisional game, and the Ravens are still beat up with injuries. I know the Ravens destroyed the Browns, but it's not that hard to do when your team turns it over 3 times. You have
I
home
agree.
field.
I wanted to bet the under, but the line is really low. So I stayed away from betting anything on this. 4 is a weird number. The Ravens are a little flawed. And then the Steelers at home feel like they're a better team. I don't know. It is those division games are always tighter. Both teams have known each other so well. How many times have Tomlin and Harbaugh played against each other? Like 100. So
Seems like it.
yeah, I don't know. Just from like a scouting perspective, I just assume those games are always close. I stayed away from it, but I'll be watching for fantasy reasons.
Same here. Same here. Okay. Next up, we'll stay in the AFC North. We got Bengals -3 at the Cardinals. Joe Burrow should have sat out the past 2 games. They would have lost anyway. But he played and probably didn't heal his calf at all. Josh Dobbs on the other end is playing really well. I don't know if he can keep that up, but as Bengals as -3, I'm not touching this. I'd rather bet the Cardinals. I'd rather bet the Cardinals money line, honestly. I have no faith in the Bengals until they prove me differently.
Agreed.
Easy
Do
enough.
we really need to talk about the Jets and the Broncos?
Yes, I have one thing to say about the Broncos. I think the Broncos are going to win because they got Josie Jewell back at practice this week.
Oh, there you go. I was
Yeah,
gonna say, the only thing I'm curious about from this game is to see if Zach Wilson can repeat his performance from last week or Sunday Night Football because that would be kind of cool to see, but at the same time, like I have a lot more evidence that he just sucks.
well, there was a report that came out earlier this week that Aaron Rodgers' offense, he wanted zero pre-snap motion. And since Zach Wilson's a younger quarterback, he likes that because he has trouble reading defenses. And obviously, when you
Hmm.
have pre-snap motion, you can see, oh, are they in man defense? Or are they in zone? You can get a little bit of
Right.
an idea, unless it's disguised. So they brought that back last week, and they said that's why they played better. But I mean, played better in quotes. He had one
Right.
like really good drive. They still only scored 20. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah. I mean,
know.
he wasn't great. I don't know. It just seemed like he made some gritty plays, like that 2 point conversion, things like that. I think it bought him some goodwill with the fan base. Like he's trying. That's like kind of where it's at this point.
A
Um,
for effort for Zach Wilson. Um, the Broncos also got Justin Simmons back this week. He's their All Pro safety. I think that's going to be huge. and then Frank Clark as well. So Frank Clark, Josie Jewell, and Justin Simmons. Those are three like legit NFL starters. So having those guys back, I think, can make a pretty big difference. Russell Wilson's looked fine. I don't know, not as bad as last year, but he's still not the old Russ. Probably never will be. I'm leaning Broncos here. It's 3.5. I'd rather lean Broncos money line, but you couldn't pay me to bet that game.
Yeah, I think most people agree with you because it was what 2 points. Now it's 3.5.
Yeah.
Man, so I think we went through all of them. Do you have anything that's come to mind for that last leg? I've been looking at the board. A few options are we could get the Cardinals at +10. Or wait, is this we're doing a 10 point or 7
10,
point?
10 point. 3-team 10 point.
Cardinals as a 13-point dog. We could get or +13 against the Bengals isn't bad. I mean, could the Patriots lose by 10? Because I don't see that happening.
Well, they lost by 35 last week.
That's true, but we also don't know if the Saints are going to score 10.
That's a good point because that is a very low total.
Yeah, that's a lot of points for a game that we think is going under.
I like that. Let's do Patriots +10. They need to score 10 points to cover for us. Can Mac Jones get a touchdown and a field goal?
Yeah,
That's
even
what we're
just
betting on.
special teams or I don't know, some typical Patriots shits like a special teams or like a good punt return, set them up with the short field. If they lose by more than 10, we are the most anti Mac Jones podcast out there.
A little part of me will always still love Mac Jones, so he can't be, but you can carry on that crown for me. Yeah, so this is the secret pod play. This is not a part of our 6-pack, totally independent. It's not counting on our record. However, it will win, so play it. And thank you for listening. Secret pod play, 10-point teaser. Lions -10 down to even. Dolphins -11.5 down to 1.5. And Patriots to pick them up to +10.
Yep. And if it loses, since we never officially tweeted it out or put it in the 6-pack, you can't get mad at us.
Yeah, and also if it loses, I might just go back and resubmit this episode and delete this whole thing out. So, secret pod play. Just kidding. We have a very authentic podcast here.
We'll call them SPPs.
SPPs. There you go.
SP
right.
asterisk.
SP asterisk. All right. You trying to get into these college football bonus plays? You have 40 picks for us like you had last week, or did you condense it down a bit?
I condensed it down. I have a lot of leans, but I guess I don't want to give out leans that the more plays I give out, the less likely that the ones I add in at the end are going to be good. Just logically, that's probably not. Those aren't my my favorite picks or anything. So I'm going to try to keep that list shorter.
Are you giving these out in order of confidence, or are these just your top 7 that you overall feel really good about?
No, these are just. I guess these are just 7 that I'm playing personally that I like. I guess I don't really have a rank of confidence. If I did, I would say my favorite one of these is maybe the Michigan Minnesota under 46. How the hell is Minnesota going to score 14 plus? I think that's the most Minnesota can score is 14. I'd be surprised if they got 14, and I don't see Michigan scoring 35. I mean, they'd have to, for that to lose, you'd have to be like, what, 35-14? That's like the only realistic score I could see. I'll roll the dice there. It's at Minnesota, so maybe that keeps Minnesota in it for a little longer than they normally would be. Michigan, just like I said, they play one of the slowest paces. I am killing it on Michigan unders. They just play at such a slow pace. There's not that many snaps in the game. And then you add in Minnesota can't really do anything offensively. So under 46. The biggest concern there would be that 35-14 score, or just Michigan just decides to just unleash holy hell on them and cover the whole thing by themselves.
Did they moved up to number 1 in the rankings, correct? Did they pass Georgia? Sorry, I hit my mic, everybody.
I have no idea. I haven't looked at the rankings. I know some people move them up to 1, I guess. I don't know.
No, Georgia still won.
I was gonna say I feel like I would have heard about it if they were one. But I know this is the Red River Showdown, maybe the biggest game of the weekend, Texas, Oklahoma. The game's known for high scoring points. I think the line is around 60.5. Do you have a play on either the total or the spread? Texas is a 5-point favorite.
No, I'm just nervous. I just feel like this is the Texas letdown spot. If anything, I'd bet Oklahoma money line and just pray that I lose my bet.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I did Texas -5. So full transparency, if this loses, this is mainly me betting with my heart. I want to see Texas win. I want to see Texas in the playoff. I think I have the
Didn't you just tell
Texas
me?
over.
Didn't you just tell me Texas has a kicker problem?
They do have a kicker problem. I think Texas is going to win, but it was like 7, and then it got down to 6, and now you can get it at 5. Um, I don't really see. I like 5 more than I like 6, just because I feel like 6 is kind of a number that's like a big spot too. But yeah, Texas -5 against Oklahoma is one of my plays as well. Um, Another favorite I'm on, and this game is tonight, is Western Kentucky -6. They're playing Louisiana Tech. I haven't looked to see if that one's kicked off or not, but Louisiana Tech's defense has not been tested whatsoever. They played Nebraska this year, and obviously Nebraska isn't, as I've discussed multiple times, is a piss poor offense. So I think Western Kentucky can give them problems, and actually, I think Western Kentucky actually has a passing game. Um, so I have it at 6 points. I don't love 6, but I think that they should cover. They should win by a touchdown or two.
Western Kentucky's down 20-0.
No, they're not.
I'm just kidding. Hey, he's confident. He knew I wasn't serious.
I don't think Louisiana Tech's a big scoring offense either. If you remember some of my preseason win total plays we did this summer, like mid-August, I gave out NC State winning over 6.5 games. Well, they're a 6.5-point favorite against Marshall this weekend. I think that might be Friday night. They've been playing a lot of Friday games. I think they're going to win. Marshall's undefeated. I just think NC State has a legit defense, and that's the one unit in this game that I trust is the NC State defense. So give me NC State -6.5.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
I guess we'll get
give us some Deion Sanders bets,
I was gonna
man.
say
We need some excitement.
I was gonna say everyone wants to know: are you betting on Colorado -4 versus Arizona State? And the answer, yes, I am. Yes, I am.
A resounding yes.
Arizona State, we read off all of their possessions against Fresno State on the pod like 2 or 3 weeks ago. That team is ass. It's at Arizona State. I think for whatever reason, their crowd still shows up despite the fact they're terrible. Maybe Colorado is kind of like exhausted from all these high key matchups lately, but I don't know. I just think I wouldn't be really that upset if this lost, but I think Colorado at -4 is a good number. They have more talent, so they should win. If they lose this game, I feel like all the air will be out of the Deion Colorado balloon for at least 2023. You can't lose to a team that lost 29-0 versus Fresno State and have people take you seriously. The prime time games and all of that, you can kind of forget about that until maybe next year. If you guys have been following my picks, you'll know I've been on the Notre Dame unders a lot. Those have been very good to me. I just think, not that their offense is underrated, I just think they love to run the ball and they kind of take the air out of the game and slow it down. And then their defense is legit. They held Duke. I mean, that under last week versus Duke was way under. It wasn't even close. I don't think Louisville's offense is as good as Duke's either. So I think Notre Dame's only like a 6-point favorite in this game. So I don't see a scenario where this game is like super high scoring. Maybe Louisville wins though. That would be an interesting one to follow. It's possible. I'm not sold on Notre Dame, honestly. I think they're a little bit flawed.
Me a month ago. Notre Dame's unproven. You getting mad at me, and now a month later.
You said they were unproven when they were playing like a G5 team, and I was like, it doesn't matter. They covered by like 30 points.
Okay. I don't know what you want to say
Anyways,
to that. Okay.
yeah. I mean, I'm right, so yes, there's nothing to say. And then lastly, um, this one's a little riskier. This might be one of my least confident picks, but Washington State plus 3.5 versus UCLA. Um, Washington State has beat Oregon State and they have beaten Wisconsin. So they have a good resume. They're going on the road versus UCLA. UCLA, uh, they only scored 7 points against Utah, and then we see Utah look vulnerable. So I know what's it called? The transitive property or whatever it is. Like I know
Mm-hmm.
I'm using that a lot here. I just think 3.5 is a good number, as I said with the Cowboys. I think that it'll be a close game. Um, a late touchdown could help us or it could screw us, but I don't know. I kind of it's just a matchup that I think is going to be entertaining, and I want to bet on it. And if I'm going to pick a side, I'm taking Washington State plus 3.5 points.
Okay. I like it.
So,
UCLA freshman QB still didn't look great
yep,
on the road. Yeah.
yep. They've looked vulnerable when playing high level competition. So I
Hey,
Washington State's proven, man.
if you need boots on the ground for that game, I can go for you.
What are those tickets like? $3?
I was gonna say, does anyone even go to?
Do we want to
Uh,
talk about the 2024 Hawks going to
they're still
UCLA?
60. They're 64. They're wow, $64. Now, yeah, I got that queued up, man. I was just about to say. I'm starting off with this. The new schedule came out today, which we'll get into in just a second. I want you to rapid fire through wins and losses. You know, you're not going to be held accountable for it, but now that you're in a bad Iowa mood, I'd love to hear it.
Okay.
But Birds of Prey, I'm giving them a shout out at Iowa BOP. They're listed as the fastest growing Hawkeye account, which is simply not true. But alas, they have given out their 2024 Big Ten football projected standings. 1, Ohio State, 2, Michigan, 3, USC, 4, Penn State, 5, Oregon, 6, Iowa Hawkeyes, sixth best team in the Big Ten. Yeah, if you guys aren't watching the YouTube, you got to see Slade's face right now. He is not having it.
Did
Then
we did we get every player out of the portal we wanted or something? Did Brian get fired? How the hell is this possible with we don't there's too many unknowns to make that claim.
yeah, I think under this scenario, I'm pretty sure that Caden Proctor transfers back to Iowa and becomes a legit 5-star.
Is that what he said?
No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
I was gonna say that actually sounds like something I'd see on Twitter.
But yeah, they have Iowa listed ahead of UCLA, Washington, Wisconsin, Nebraska. It's pretty funny. It's basically just Oregon, USC, and Oregon and USC just above Iowa, and then it's your classic Big Three in the Big Ten. So not bad.
So
But
they have us over Washington.
yes, are
Man,
they're not gonna have what's his name anymore?
yeah, I know. I
Penix.
just if you're a quarterback in the portal, wouldn't you want to go there?
I
That's
would,
what's
yeah.
that's what's gonna make all this so weird is we don't even know. Like, I don't know who USC's quarterback is next year. I don't know who Iowa's quarterback is next year. Is Wisconsin gonna play that transfer they had who's backing up Mordecai? It's really impossible to say, but I guess I broke it down like this. So there's 12 games. There's 4 games that I have in pen as a loss probably. Uh,
Mhm.
it's Ohio State. It's like who I think you I would assume we're gonna lose to UCLA on the road.
Okay. Then there's Washington and Oregon, or excuse me, Washington, Wisconsin. Are those your four?
Yeah, those are my 4. We would lose to Oregon if we played them, yeah, but we don't.
The other games, Nebraska, Northwestern at home, should be able to win those. At Maryland, at Michigan State, at Minnesota for all Big Ten.
I think they should beat Maryland. They should beat Michigan State. Nebraska depends on how well Matt Rule has things going. I would say the one thing that's helping Iowa with all of this is they're the only school that has 3 um, protected
Protected.
rivalries out of the. So they're involved in 3 of the 12 protected rivalries. So that keeps like Minnesota on their schedule. That's winnable. I think Wisconsin kind of sucks to keep on your schedule. But who's the other one? Is it? It's not.
Minnesota.
Yeah, but it's Minnesota, Wisconsin, and who?
Oh, sorry, Nebraska.
Nebraska, yeah. So it keeps them at like a couple winnable games. Um, Maryland might take a step back. I wouldn't want to play them this year necessarily, but um, anyways, Iowa this week against Purdue is a 1.5 point favorite or 2 point favorite against Purdue at home. That basically tells you Vegas thinks Purdue is better on a neutral site because Kinnick is worth more than 2 points.
Yeah, it's probably 3.
And you think about how bad Purdue it was at points in this season, and it's basically they're saying like Purdue's secondary is the weakness of their team, and they know that Iowa isn't going to be able to exploit that. So does it really matter? Which is really sad, but I mean Purdue lost to Syracuse, who sucks by 15. They were in a close game with Virginia Tech, who might be one of the worst teams in Power 5. And then they lost to Fresno State at home. Yeah, they lost to Wisconsin by 21 at home.
I watched most of that Wisconsin game. I think that was the Friday game. That was a Friday game.
It was closer than the score.
Yeah, I bet on Purdue. It probably should have been a 2-touchdown game, not a 3-touchdown game. But
so using the transitive property, if Wisconsin is, we'll say, 16 points better than Purdue at Purdue, and Vegas thinks Purdue is better than Iowa at a neutral site by 1 point, they basically think is Wisconsin going to be like a 2-3 touchdown favorite against us?
Where is that game?
Wisconsin.
Oh, I bet you it's not.
It's double digits, right?
9.5, or is it 10.5? I don't know.
I think it's 10.5.
Well, we have no choice but to do that 10-point tease down. Take the Badgers. Just kidding. We can't bet against the Hawks as much as I'd like to. I do not have it in my heart to put that in the 6-pack. So
I have 0 bets on this game. I don't want to bet on it because I'll probably lose money and I don't want to pick against them. So same story, different week. Just play a close, ugly, disgusting game, and we're all pissed off for 3 hours, and then the game ends, and it's like, do we really have to do this again next week?
Hey, I was happy. I have Iowa over 8 wins. Put $100 on them. They're slowly just getting there. So I'm happy. I just need a few more wins.
I was listening to this Iowa podcast on Iowa Everywhere. Shout out that pod network. And they were talking about how, like, if Iowa wins 7 games this year, that would be like the equivalent of an average Power 5 schedule, like 4 wins. And I was just like, God, that is so depressing.
That's reality, folks. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sure you could go on and on all day. We'll have plenty more Iowa content Tuesday. It's gonna be an interesting one for sure. By interesting, I mean really boring and low scoring, probably.
But yeah, just take the under. Maybe tease if you want a 10-point teaser. Maybe you tease the Iowa under so you can get an extra 10 points, and that way it's 100% lock of that leg.
All right, cool. Well, anything else? You good to wrap it up?
No, I'm good.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
I gotta watch the Bears, man.
Yeah. Let's keep it under an hour. It's going to come in right at 59 minutes. Good deal. But all right, everybody, this has been another episode of BET GPT. We really appreciate it, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.